Hello and welcome to History with Mr. E, our final history lesson of the year. We have a very short lesson today. We're actually going to cover 24.2 and 24.3. You do not have to do the questions for 24.3. After Bush left office in 2008, Bob Dole ran. He was a brilliant survivor of war, a brave soldier who'd been wounded and even disabled in war. I want to say Korea, but I'm probably wrong about that. And he was a good politician, but he lost to a steamroller of a politician named Barack Obama. Barack Obama is half or three-quarter black, born outside of America, which should have been against the law for him to become president, but he refused to produce a birth certificate and claimed to have been born in America, and people took him at his word for whatever reason. Barack Obama won easily over... Oh, it wasn't Bob Dole. It was John McCain that he ran against. It wasn't Bob Dole. It was John McCain. Bob Dole ran against Clinton, I guess. He ran against John McCain, and John McCain lost pretty hard. But this was the first time two senators had run for president together, two sitting senators. McCain was too moderate. He just wasn't strong enough in his campaign. And Obama, who had no executive experience, but was loved widely because he promised everything. He was like a rebirth of FDR. He promised everything to everyone. He was black, so he won the African American vote. And people really thought that he was going to give them everything through social welfare. And he did in a lot of cases, free cell phones. He pushed for Obamacare, medical coverage. Welfare just went up and up under him. And we had endured a massive financial crisis in 2007 when Bush was still in office, where the housing market collapsed. People were selling overpriced homes that began to fall in value, and they were selling them on these kind of mortgages where the first 5 years of the mortgage was cheap, but then they had a balloon mortgage where the interest went way up and people couldn't afford the payments after the first few years. And people who could maybe have afforded a $40,000 home were buying a $240,000 home, and now they were defaulting. There are whole communities that were abandoned by people who couldn't afford to live in what we call McMansions, cookie-cutter mansions, mansion homes. Banks began owning home after home, but many of these banks were cash poor. The job market was weak, unemployment rose, and this was all because of Clinton's economic policies that he put into place before Bush came into office. I mean, it takes years for economic policies to get, to roll in. Bush actually sent a stimulus package and helped governments to bail out banks, auto workers, because the car market fell too, and saved the economy. But it cost about $70 billion. I got $800 in the mail, paid off one of my student loans with it. The American Recovery Investment also took place under Barack Obama to jumpstart the economy, and this was like Depression level stuff, building roads and courthouses and things like that. But the recovery was slow. 130 new bureaucratic regulations were put into place. And like I said, it cost this entire recovery, starting with George Bush, cost our economy, our country, $70 billion. Obama pushed through the Affordable Health Care Act, also known as Obamacare, which socialized health care and made a mess of the billing system and nearly shut down several hospitals because they couldn't afford to operate because Medicare and Medicaid wouldn't pay, and it forced anybody that didn't have medical insurance to have Obamacare, and if you didn't, there was a major tax fine. Obama also got to appoint two Supreme Court justices, Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. And Obama suffered in his foreign policy. Just a moment. My mouth is really dry. Obama's foreign policy was terrible. He hated Israel, pressured Benjamin Netanyahu to conform to a list of demands from the Palestinians, and he was really weak on foreign policy. His wife didn't understand, and Obama didn't understand how you a lot of diplomatic things, like you never touch the Queen of England. Well, Obama's wife put her hand right on her shoulder, and it caused a controversy. They were just uninformed and arrogant people. They also did anything that the UN told them to do. By the end of 2011, we pulled all U.S. troops out of Iraq and focused our fight in the war on terror in finding bin Laden. Obama cut funding on missile defense against Russia and developed a new strategic arms treaty with the Russian Premier Medvedev. And Russia moved, after this weak thing, to take the Crimean Peninsula. Obama did eventually hunt down and eliminate bin Laden in Pakistan, which was great. But I still think our country is trying to recover from his economic policies and is kowtowing to the UN. In the late 20th century, before 2000, there's a massive boom in immigration. America was a land of opportunity. People wanted to be there. The Hispanic population has grown exponentially, and we're still fighting to control that because most of the Hispanic population is on one kind of social welfare or the other. And there's no, having dealt with this at 911 a lot, these guys will get one legal driver's license and pass it around between 10 of them. Nobody knows what these guys' names are because none of them are registered. If you pull somebody over, they could have 25 warrants on them because they've been pulled over 25 times. It could have been 25 different guys. Immigration's a mess in America. Do I think that the border wall did any good that Donald Trump promised to build? No. I think we need to find ways to strengthen Mexico so that the Mexicans don't want to leave it. The same thing with other parts of South America. Find ways to build up these countries and to help them in their economies rather than to make them want to run to America all the time and get on social welfare. 53 million people, 53 million immigrants are in the United States as of 2012. That's just Hispanic. We had our first Hispanic congressman, Joseph Hernandez, in 1822. Our first Hispanic cabinet member in 1988, and our first Hispanic justice of the Supreme Court in 2009. And we also, and this is 53 million Hispanics in America in 2012. In 2012, there were only 44 million black Americans in the United States. It's amazing. America used to be known as the Great Melting Pot because we would accept anybody that would come to our country while our country was still being built. But our country is established now, and we're suffering under the weight of illegal immigration and social welfare. If we didn't offer so much welfare, if people would go back to work and do their jobs, then, we could rebuild this country stronger in our economy. And that's for blacks, Hispanics, and whites. Why has our nation been great over the years? Because we're one nation under God. We're 250 years old. We're a nation of freedom, a nation with a reputation for being hard workers, a capitalist nation, a free enterprise nation, a nation with a respect for human life and a love for God. We've gotten away from some of that stuff in recent history. And our nation has showed that it suffers because we've gotten away from some of that stuff. I want to challenge you guys to think of ways to lead our nation into the future that doesn't include relying on our government for every bit of our lives. Thank you guys for sticking with me this year. I hope you've learned a lot. I've enjoyed being your teacher, even though it was eighth period and you guys were wound up like wild animals. I look forward to hopefully teaching you guys next year, when we'll have world history for 7th and 8th grade probably, and government and geography for 9th and 10th grade. I'll see you later.